So, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Peter Davis. I'm one of the 3 UK-based fusion trainers, and it's my pleasure today to just give you a little quick insight into version 6 and some of the new lighting techniques that you can utilize. Just to remind you that we do offer now in the UK a free 28-day trial on Fusion, so just contact our main sales line and we'll be looking after that for you. We do also offer training both in a classroom scenario and over the internet. And there is a knowledge-based center, and there is obviously the 2020 community, which has almost every day a line in there showing you and helping you with what you want if you can't ring. We're also now very strong on the media, so we can offer encouragements over platforms like Fusion, like Facebook and Twitter. So what I'm going to be talking about this afternoon is lighting techniques, and in particular I'm going to be talking to you about version 6. So if you've not seen version 6, it's worth having. So here is version 6. It doesn't look very different except on the renderings here, but it works in most other platforms. And it still works, obviously, with a perspective. So one of the things that we've done in version 6 now is you can see here is an automatic panorama view, and the software actually offers this as a starting place for you. As soon as you go into a render, it will do that for you. And it will obviously show or take away the walls that are in the way. It doesn't mean to say that you can't go on and navigate yourself around to a different view if you want to, but this is the one that's automatically set up. Secondly, I want you just to observe a couple of little things in here. Here's my view out of the window, and you'll find that I put it on an internal door now, and where we used to get the outside view coming through the glass panels, now if it's an internal door, it doesn't, and there's going to be a distinct advantage in showing you that a little bit later on. So let's talk about lighting. Well, version 6 now uses a rig. Don't need to go into technical terms, but it's actually offering you several light sources without showing the light source, if that makes sense. It lights up the room automatically. So we're considering the view through the window, the sunlight coming in, but you'll notice the shadow here is actually the lighting rig taking its place in there. And I'm rendering at the moment here in the presentation mode, and we can control that. Where that used to take a few minutes, it now takes a few seconds. I'm also going to show you I'm in the theme with no sunlight coming into the room. So I can still control that, as we will see a little bit later on. So let's go and have a look at lighting, so to speak. So lighting, we're using a catalog in here, Universal Lighting, and if you've not seen it, it is a free download, and you can easily download that. It's based on Sensio lighting, if you know of it. Now in here we have various lights, and they're destined to land at certain areas. So the top line here is an interior cabinet light source. So I've got 2 glass wall units, 1 and 2, and it's a case of bringing those in, and I can simply drag them in and put them into the center of the cabinet, and they can be controlled. Now we've had for a very long time a lighting center, and if I were just to light up these 2 lights here, you can see we have a lighting control panel, and they can be colored, simply choosing in here a color that you would like, and also the luminosity or the intensity of the light, and we can turn them on or off. So what does that mean right now? Well, we can come back into our presentation mode of a perspective, and you can see now the two cabinets. They're left with the red halo around them because they're still active. They are in the cabinet, and I could control them a little bit if I wanted to by toning them down. And as soon as I let go, the render starts to re-render. And there you can see the light within the lighting rig taking over. And I've just taken out the highlight on that pair of lights there. Now, if I went back to the cabinet adjustments, I got ceiling lights. I can put them in the ceilings and at different levels, different strengths. The smaller the light bulb, less light comes in. This is a very bright one that again can be controlled by just turning it down. We've got a bare light bulb. This used to be known as point lighting, and we can put that point anywhere you want to and at any height. I'll be showing you that in a couple of minutes. Further down, we've got plinth lights, and these can be placed as you would want them. A swan neck, and also we've got under cabinet lights and the under panel lighting, and also the under cabinet strip lights of different lengths and different strengths. So if I were to add this light against the wall and perhaps put it there, and it's just asking me now about the fitment that it should be colored. I've chosen stainless steel, which is a default. Another light up into that area, and secondly one over here. And if you wanted to be absolutely correct, perhaps one coming onto this wall here, so that when we go into our presentation mode, the render, you'll see it's taking much less time, and you can see the actual lights in there. Now if I move myself, I'm just going to minus and left click into the room and right click standing out in the garden, and we'll move the position. And there we are. We've got our lighting coming in at the 4 lights. We've got the sunlight coming, I beg your pardon, we've got the view out of the window and none out of the door. And I'll show you a couple of techniques with that in a few moments. So if we wanted to now, we could control 2 lights, or we could choose the 3rd and the 4th if we wanted to. They are managed on the Editing Items tab. And in that area, here is your lights, and the 2 that are lit up, we could make them less intense if you wanted to, and the picture will re-render itself. And you can see the overall lighting within the room is taking an effect. And I just want to remind you, the interesting thing is there is no exterior light source whatsoever in this room. So I could now come in and choose a bit of midday sun. And here comes my midday sun. And it's lit up the whole picture for me. But I could choose which direction with these orange arrows, which direction the sunlight's going to come through. And again, we've got in this area here sunlight control. So we could, if you wanted to, just bring it down a little bit, and the picture re-renders in a couple of seconds for you. And there we've got a little bit more contrast coming on, and we can even change the sunlight. So there we're just changing through. But some of the effects that I really think are worth having, when I come into theme, I could go over to sunset. And this gives you a totally different picture altogether. And you can see it's a change of view. I'm coming in through this window. I'm now going to go into or through this window. And the whole time it's re-rendering in a slightly different way. And you can use this to your good effect. But one of the things that I really enjoy now with version 6 is the nighttime setting. This is a really powerful one. And it gives you a good opportunity to sell under cabinet lighting. So if I turn on the nighttime, watch what happens in this window. the scene outside has been darkened. However, because it's an internal door, if you like, this is the light coming from a dining room or a hallway, but it can really show off our under cabinet lights. And it's a really good excuse to show people what we can do with lighting within the room. Look at this area here. You can see the light shining on the worktop. And at any time we can add a different color if you wanted to make it more interesting. And what I'm just going to do is to say to you now, with version 6, I don't know if you've noticed it, but we have tabs at the bottom. And one of the interesting things is that I can plus this, I can add a new tab. Now I'm just going to make one small adjustment to show you an effect. So I'm going to again give you no outside lighting coming through, and I'm now going to press the plus tab. So here it is. Now the interesting thing is that what this will do is give you an exact copy of the original perspective. However, if I right click, I can actually say to it, don't take the lighting on the first tab, and you'll notice the color of the tab has actually changed slightly. So that's where we were, and this is where we are right now. So if I went up to theme and said nighttime, immediately it adjusts the lighting, but I've still got the daylight and the nighttime. So these are what we used to be calling named views, and it's just to right click over that tab and we can say, right, I don't or I do want to inherit the lighting from the original. And it doesn't mean to say that you couldn't add a third tab. And in here, again, I've not inherited the light from the original. It's still there. But on this one now, I can perhaps come up to this area and choose a different theme, maybe sunrise. So I've got now 3 definite different lighting effects. There I am at nighttime, and here I am without any artificial light coming in from the outside. So these now very, very effective. And the good news is in version 6, providing you don't move position or add something else that needs to be rendered, the transition from, say, wireframe, white fill, into here, for your drafts, etc., etc. They are moments, just moments, because we've not changed the rendering position. So now I'm just beefing it up to the full presentation mode, and you can see it's just taking a couple of extra seconds, but here is your effective timer coming on. And what it's doing is just presenting now the best possible view, what used to be called in version 5 high quality. And these are they, but what I do like is the internal door has no exterior view. And just as a little byproduct, a little tip for you, if you like, there is a setting on the door. So if I highlight the door itself and we came up and into the items tab, under setting here it's told to be an internal fixture, and that's why it's turned off the lighting and the outside view, and now I've turned it back into an exterior door. So it's very simple. Onto the editing item tool, and there is an internal fixture, and that will then come back with, if you like, the frosted glass. So you can have a whole range of different scenarios going on in here, all working independent but exactly the same, if that does not make a strange contradiction in terms. Now what I want to do is just tone it down a little bit, because I'm going to show you how you can work with 2020 Cloud. So on here I'm just going to go to the viewing tab. At any time I can interrupt now, it will just rebuffer itself. So whereas before you used to have to press the cancel Now you just rebuffer or choose a different rendering view. What I'm going to do now is go back to a plan, and in the 2020 cloud, what I want you to know is once you've signed in, and I did touch on this one yesterday, if I came in and chose myself some lights, and perhaps I want some wall lights. Now I'm going to be a little bit silly in this area and choose a wall light, for instance, or I can go on to ceiling lights. They're always interesting as well. And remember, as I covered it yesterday, we now have this grid button, so you can see a single line or a number of patterns. And in here, I'm going right down to the end because I want a pendant light. And if I were to just adjust this and go back to a preview of it, you can see the pendant light. Now what I'm going to do is, with this pendant light, I'm just going to show you what the possibilities are. So I'm bringing in the pendant light into that area, and I'm just going to draw your attention to the fact that it is 1541 millimeters to the bottom of that light. That's quite important that you'll notice in a moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back to a perspective view and just show you what I've done, and then give you a couple of little tips or tricks. And of course, I'm going to need to look at this area. You can see the pendant light being highlighted, but it's just hiding behind the wall. So I'm just going to run that so that we can see the lighting coming in to the room and the effect that it has. And you'll notice that there is no light in this cloud light. No light at all. It's casting a shadow because that's being taken up by the rig. But here's a little trick for you if you would like. So I'm going back, and again I'm going to observe the height of that table, that light there. So just to remind you, it's 1541 mil. And now if I came over to catalog items, and I slid myself down, and I went to something like an under cabinet light here, and it's told to be 1389 height off the floor. Now I'm going to change that. I want to bring that up to something like 1550. So 1550. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag that one and put it over here. Now, what I'm going to do is try and introduce these two, and you'll find that a new asset with Fusion version 6 is we've got the ability to zoom on the mouse. And you can see now my light is slightly crooked. So if I get hold of that light and I hold down the Shift key, I can center it, if you like, in the middle of that lamp. And when I deselect and go back to my perspective view, what you'll find now is I have a light within the pendant. And just to remind you, there is the lamp, and in there now is the light source. So all I've done is to raise the light off the floor to 1550, and there the pair are. And a wonderful system that we've got with all of this now is that when I go back to a floor plan, of course, I can surround those two, make them a pair again. And what I could do is if I went up into now the area of editing an items tool, I could group those, and it says, what should we call them? Well, we simply would give them a pendant light, if you like, a name. And when I go onto my area in here, here is my pendant light. They are a pair. I will not have to build them again. They are simply working as I would want them to be. And if I move my cursor and choose Control D, what I get is a duplication of whatever was lit up. And let's just go and have a look at the view here. And what you'll notice is, as it renders, so we've got its own light, and this one is a pendant and light. So be aware of what this actually does, this light itself, and I could simply put over another pendant, and that could be paired up again. I'm just going to remove that one for a moment and simply say to it, right, one of the other pitfalls that I've found is that as I try and perhaps move this to a new position, what it often does, if I've only chosen the pendant light and not the light itself, they will drag independently, or they will not be joined together. Well, little trick for you. Up here on the Editing Items tab is a padlock. And if I push that down, anything that's highlighted now is padlocked. And it means that they are going to remain the same all the time that you want them to be. So these lighting sources that we've got going on in this area is very, very helpful, very useful, lots and lots of choices in this, and you can keep them, you can repeat them, do anything that you want to with these, and it's a simple little choice. So lots of settings in here, and the spotlight is a spotlight that you could perhaps draw on. So if I use that spotlight now, use my single drawing tool or polygon tool, and maybe now I could just point to that area with the line, and we came up and we re-render. That will stay. Beg your pardon, I want to give you a better view of that. So from here, what we've got is the light source. Now, of course, you can see that bar, and that could be changed in terms of angle and height. So if I brought that down to 1500, for instance, you can light up dark corners. So between the lighting rig within version 6, the universal lighting controls that you've got, turning them on or off, making them different colors, it's a very, very simple system, and you can really begin to enhance your drawings. So I'm really hoping that this has been beneficial for you, and that you can come and use our lighting techniques, experiment with them, and do also remember that we offer a support line and also more information on the 2020 spaces and also the community. So all of this is available to you, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow for our 3rd out of 4 simple tips that we can give you. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and we'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye for now.